Wow, there was me thinking I had the intro. I've clearly took that off. It's not intro, and it's literally just me jumping on a random live. Just got in from doing some bits and bobs, and I'm here to talk about Caroline Dubois going to MVP. This is literally random, impromptu. Like I said, I didn't even fill up the board with the announcements, but well, sorry, my usual introductions. But yeah, Caroline Dubois, the secret announcement. Jake Paul put out a tweet and I posted it because I was like, oh, what's he up to? I was on live yesterday with Undefeated Podcast and we discussed possibilities. There was all sorts of rumors, weird and wonderful rumors going on about, oh, maybe the match is fixed, maybe he's gonna pull out this, that, and the other. No, it was never gonna go like that. So yesterday, well, actually, it was midnight, early hours of this morning. Good evening, good evening. Yeah, another one that bites the dust. That's spot on, and we're going to get there. 9 a.m. Eastern time, which is around now, obviously. Major update had to be done. It is what it is. And I'm thinking, don't tell me after Howell's backing this geezer saying, I rate his hustle, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's going to pull out of this fight. So I posted it and I was like, yikes. Matt Lenahan from Boxing Social, like I said, I got a lot of time for him. He was like, well, maybe it's Caroline Dubois that's signing. And I said, well, that would be the best announcement ever. Caroline Dubois signing with MVP. And yes, that is exactly what it was. I'm going to put these comments out on there so they'll come up as you come in. So if you've just joined me, I'm Abs of October Red. This is impromptu. We didn't have the introductions. I was like, as soon as I seen this, we're going to go live. I'm going to discuss it because I can't be bothered to do pre-recorded video. And if there's anybody about, if you're driving about, if you're at home, day off, whatever it is, just finish your Christmas shopping, early shift at work finished, we're going to discuss what's going on. So yeah, you could say, okay, MVP have signed another fighter. It's not a big thing, but it's not that, is it? It's another fighter, yet another fighter that has left boxer to go to another promotional company. Listen, don't get me wrong. We heard that Caroline was going to go to MVP. This was something that was amongst the Twitter gossip, the ex gossip for ages. Caroline extremely quiet. Nobody's not really saying anything. So it was on the cards, but there was no formal announcement. But this is what I'm saying. When it comes to Jake Paul, he's a good hustler. He knows how to hustle. He knows how to get people talking because first of all, he does an interview saying how Lawrence Okoli give him a black eye. There's all this speculation on, oh, is this match going to be fixed or is it going to have contractual agreements that AJ's got to do this or whatever. So all of that skepticism was out there and he throws that tweet out. And this is what I'm saying about his marketing genius, a YouTuber that other YouTubers really need to take a leaf out of his book because he's clever with it. Because yes, fair enough. Some people would have said, yeah, new signing. But it's the last bit when he put, it is what it is. I'm like, don't do this. And he didn't do it. Because like I said, it's young Caroline. Caroline, a fighter that I followed from her debut. One of boxer's early signings. Adam Smith, when he was obviously with Sky, was raving on about Caroline. Caroline was his favourite fighter. He says she's going to do so much stuff. He has this thing about the guys that are on GB, Olympians, not necessarily medalists, but have come from that pedigree. And he was screaming and shouting about Caroline, one of his favourite fighters, you could say, along with obviously the lifelong allegiance that he's got with Katie Taylor as well. So you see Caroline doing her bits, one of the stars that's coming out of Boxer with Sky, etc., etc. And then I think it was the Ring Magazine interview. So I've got to give them credit for it. It was a clip that I saw. I'm sure it was the Ring Magazine. It was either that or Stomping Ground. I do beg your pardon. Everyone seems to like blend into one, where they interviewed Ben Shalom and he was saying, oh, yeah, you know, fighters value and, you know, it might not be this and that. And I'm thinking, fighters value? I'd say that Caroline is quite valuable because she's a very good fighter. Why would you want to let her go? And that was sort of him saying, oh, I might have pushed her. She didn't actually jump ship. I pushed her without exactly saying that. But if you obviously understand boxing or you know how things work behind the scenes, It definitely wasn't like that. It was something that was probably going on for a while. Who knows what the contracts were, the stipulations, where the contracts to come out of, all of the business side of the boxing that us as fans don't necessarily see. She's done it. But are we, and listen, I will speak to Ben Shalom all day long. I speak to all the promoters. It is what it is. But when you get a lot of people, or when you get people in succession, people of like brands, because Caroline is a brand, the Dubois name, you know, it's something that we know in boxing. Why would you let that go? Really, why would you let that go? Now, saying that, the chat's popping up. So thank you to each and every one of you that have literally clicked on the button, and here I am. Crazy hair, don't care. But good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, wherever you are, to all of you. You love boxing. The first one in the comment, another one bites the dust. You man are done for. Hey, October, good evening to you. Oh, Jesus, I haven't seen you for ages. Saludos and happy Tuesday to you as well. You love boxing, fantastic question. Also, what is happening with Lauren and Caris? Lauren's in a very, very privileged position as she's got the belt. Has Caris got a belt? Forgive me, Caris, if you're watching. My mind's gone because I know that you fought ages ago now. And I can't remember if you've got a belt. So very good question. Truth Teller Maxwell says happy for her. Absolutely. I think there's a load of us that could literally sit here and say, you know what? Fair play to you, Caroline. Fair play to you. Dodge, good afternoon to you. Red, my queen, big up. Back at you, not as a queen, but as a king. You know, don't want anyone getting upset about political comments. And nobody wants to fight on BBC. I don't know. I don't mind it. It's another app. It's the thing that you can get on an app. It's on BBC Two, BBC iPlayer, whatever. We can get into the semantics around that. But listen, like I said, whatever I say here, I'll always reflect that back to whoever I speak to, whether, promoters, fighters, or whatever. I try not to be two-faced in my approach, because I understand that when you make your way into the industry, that yes, you do have to be on your P's and Q's to a certain extent, because people will look and think, oh, she's a troublemaker, she creates havoc. And I guess I do have that reputation a little bit. But like to Ben, and I'd ask Ben this, why is he losing all of these fighters? First of all, obviously, I think Buatsi was the first one to jump ship, wasn't he? He was the one that says, yeah. Then all of a sudden he's gone to Queensbury. I said he was going to Queensbury about a year before, and everyone called cap, but he ended up there anyway. Then you had Vidal Riley, and Vidal Riley, I'm going to speak about that as well. I didn't get to speak about it as much as I wanted to on the Undefeated podcast yesterday, but I'm just going to lay out exactly what it is that Vidal Riley's done. He's signing with Misfits and Misfits Pro. Remember, there's two sides to Misfits. So Vidal Riley, Misfits Pro. Ben Whittaker, match made in heaven. Always knew he was going to do it. Always knew that was for him. He has gone to Eddie Hearn to progress his career. And now we have Caroline Dubois. So that's quite a few fighters since the broadcaster switched from Sky Sports to BBC. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot in one go. Listen, you guys might be pugilists who've been watching boxing for 7,000 years and can give us another great example of an exodus from one promoter to another. And I always say this, and I keep saying it, and maybe it'll be engraved on my gravestone: you lose them how you get them. And that applies in life, relationships, and in business. I remember when I said to Eddie, I spoke to Eddie Hearn, and I was like, how Ben Whittaker's left Ben Shalom and come to you. Can you trust him? Can you trust that he won't do the same thing to you? That's something that I've said. Obviously watch the interview if you want to see his answer. But this is like, I remember when I was at Boxer, I first started going to their shows, and I'm starting to see fighters that were leaving. We had Lawrence Okoli. How dare I forget him? Lawrence Okoli left Boxers because he's with them for such a short amount of time. He's gone as well, gone to Queensbury. So I saw all of these matchroom fighters coming to Boxer, and fair enough, you know, Eddie's not really in much of a overt regret of losing any, because there's always fresh blood, there's always fighters that you can concentrate on more. But a lot of some matchroom fighters were going to Boxer, so inevitability would suggest, yeah, that they have now, you know, had their little stint with him, had their paydays, whatever, and they've, you know, what, one for a better word, saw greater opportunities, better opportunities for themselves, and have literally left home, gone off and said, look, I need to do bigger and better things. I think Boxer did really good things with Caroline, and that's why I don't believe, and I will say this to Ben, I don't believe he's happy about losing her. He can sit there and talk about the value of the fighter and whatever he said, and I cannot remember verbatim in the interview, but sort of insinuating that it's not, you know, you can't really afford to keep everybody, and maybe that was, you know, a loss that I'm okay with. I don't believe that. I really don't believe that. Not the way that Caroline was built to a world. She's a world champion, isn't she? So what was going on? No fight dates, no nothing. Caroline Dubois is someone that turns up to boxing matches. I have seen her at several boxing matches that are not necessarily Boxer. She's a fan of the sport. She supports her local talent. I've seen her at loads of places. When I've been there, I'm like, oh, look, there's Caroline supporting the sport. She's a true fan of the sport. But when I saw the BBC show the other day, and I saw that Lauren Price was there, but she wasn't there. And if she was there and she was on the broadcast, my bad. But I didn't think that she was there. I'm sure she wasn't there. I thought, but that's all I needed to know. That's all I needed to see to make up my conclusion that she's gone. And yeah, I can see the comments coming in now on Traceable. You know, I ain't going to say that, but good to see you. Shalom can't catch a break. Exodus for real. Fitting due to that. Good afternoon to you, Ricky E. That only went to Boxer for the money. Jesus is saying Dubois versus Serrano. Emma saying Caroline has been out of the ring way too long. Spot on, as per usual, Emma. You know, I agree with what you say. Foxy Yairo says disaster for Shalom. Ra says good afternoon to you. And Newman Adonfor says, I wonder if fighters got pay-per-view bonuses on Sky. Obviously, they won't get that on the BBC. There's so much to cover here. Where do I start? There is so much to cover here. Pay-per-view on the BBC. We're yet to see, you know, another announcement to see if there will be potentially pay-per-view. If they're going to do it, how are they going to do it? Because the BBC is obviously a public-funded channel, etc., 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 whatever. So it'd be interesting to see how they actually manage that side of it. But my concern is 5 or so fighters leaving the promoter. And then when you look at the stable of fighters, you know, when you look at the names as such, obviously they've got a British champion now with Jamie TKB, who they clearly didn't think was going to win and probably didn't want to win because they wanted Fraser to win, because that was obvious from everything. That was obvious. And so what? That's their choice, but it was obvious. So now they've got the Takivi with the belt that holds value. That holds value for anybody that wants the British belt. So, yeah, you've got a little bit of a nugget there. Adam Azim. Is there some grey area around Adam Azim? We've heard that he signed a long-term contract, but is there a bit of a grey area on what he's actually doing? Because I was convinced he was going to go. I was convinced that Adam Azim was going to trot off to Queensbury, because I think he had some real good support from Hamza Shiraz. So I was absolutely convinced Adam Azim was going to go. Then you look at, obviously, Callum Simpson. Callum Simpson's great fighter, so much potential. I've watched him fight in the ring. I've also been around him when he spars. He's a true talent, and I believe he should move up to light heavyweight. I don't think he's super middle, whatever he wants to say. I believe he's heavier than that. But yeah, so if you look at the names, and obviously, is Karis still with him? Lauren Price seems to be, because she was at the Fraser Clark fight, TKV fight. She was there. So is Lauren still with them. We don't know. Is Caris, what is going on? What is the strategy? And when I spoke to Ben, and I've got to apologize to you lot, because I try and get as much information and content out for you guys as I can so you can understand what's happening. But because I haven't spoke to Ben for such a long time, there's like this shopping list that I've got in my head, but then there's also immediate stuff that I know that's current and that I need to address. But one of the things that I do need to ask him is the stable. Name the fighters. I've said this on one of the news and reviews I've done. Name the fighters. Who is still going to be with you? Who is with you moving forward? Can we have some dates? When is Caris Artinstall out if she's still with you? When is Lauren Price out? Is she still with you? There's questions to be asked. You know, I've seen that they've stacked up the card the 20th of December. They've put a few people on there, and I'm not discrediting any of the fighters, but who's the permanent fixtures? Which of the fighters are you looking to build? Are we going to see some promo around the fighters that you're keeping? Because you have to really now start to push out the promo. They've got BBC. Can you imagine you're watching, I don't know, BBC News or whatever it is, or there's, I don't know, they could have a little segment where they can actually push their fighters out, use the platform. I understand that there's only a certain couple of hours they can have on the, you know, BBC Two or whatever it is there, but you've still got that platform. Use it to the advantage of your fighters, because there's the terrestrial TV. There's the people that will be watching the TV. Maybe at the end of news or weather, you put boxing back on BBC and start to plug out your fighters, man. What are you doing? Do you know what I mean? That's just my opinion. I'm not a promoter, but whatever. I'm thinking when you've got, you know, when you've got all of these, you're a kid and you've got all these toys that you can maximize and you can really do something with it. Do that. You've got a playground there. BBC is a playground for you. Build the fighters. Let me get back into the chat. Good afternoon. If you've just joined us, it is impromptu. I went to put the intro on, wasn't there. So whatever, we are here. And it's not even a watch along. Let me change the banner on this. Hold on. Media assets, banners. There we go. It's even down as alive and it isn't. Let me go back to the chat. I prefer it when it's like this, actually, because it's just off the cuff. I was going to sit down and do a news and reviews where I haven't got my face on. It's just my voice. But I thought, you know what? Just throw on some lipstick. Don't worry about your hair. That's it. Let's go. Right. Yep, Ra, you're right. Seen her around your call a few times and she said she can't talk about things. So I guess she was running her contract down. Mark, it's a good move for Caroline. Yep, totally agree. Ra saying, guess we won't be seeing Dubois versus Turan soon then. I don't even know if I want to see that after her performance on the weekend. She absolutely pieced up Beatrice, like pieced her up with no real boxing skill and ability. That was almost like, you know what, I've seen this person that I don't like and I'm going to boss them up, because that's exactly what happened to her. She's got, that was a fight. That wasn't boxing. That was a fight. Emma's saying that Team Azim aren't wise. Interesting. Joseph Jesus, how you doing? Nice. Who's signing with Ben now unless they're Channel 5 quality? Don't know. It's a tough one, isn't it? And I think he needed to trim his stable down, couldn't manage a large group. Was the group really that large, Ra? Was it really that large when you look at it? I don't think it is. Foxy's saying, even if Azim stays, do we ever see him fighting on the BBC? Can't see it. Didn't he just fight? Yeah, he was on DAZN, wasn't he? Where he fought that Scobie. Yeah. Emma saying he was busy thinking. He's too busy thinking of Hearn instead of giving his fighters dates. I like that comment a lot, Emma. And I'm going to, in fact, let me pause there. I'll go back to the comments. Emma's just made a really good point there. Too busy thinking about Hearn instead of giving his fighters fight dates. Now, put it in the comments, because we're having a chat. I'm going to probably run this for about another 10, 15 minutes and I'll lock off, because I want to do these type of live things, but probably at 6:30, 7 in the morning, do it like a drive time. But anyway, we started it off today. More lives coming from me, probably three times a week. Right. Emma's made a fantastic comment, and let me just put it on the screen in full. When you are concentrating, have you ever seen that picture that they had on social media? And it was like winners focus on winning and losers focus on winners. Yeah. It's an old quote, but they used the fact, I think it was this swimmer, and basically he was looking what was coming up behind him instead of focusing, getting into the finish line. And I think a lot of people can get caught up in that kind of mindset. So when you're there driven by competition, you're not focusing on what you should be doing. And we see that a lot in any industry, really. You can't even just narrow it down to boxing. I understand you might want to keep one eye open just in case anyone's near or whatever. But I, for one, don't operate on that. I think, yeah, I've got this to do. This is what I want to do. I'm going to do it. And I'm happy with that. Because focusing on other people, all that tends to do is just drag you down and stop your progress, because you're so wrapped up in what other people are doing. And too many people do that. So Emma, if that's what you meant, I totally agree with it. And I think it's a brilliant comment. Winners concentrate on winning. Losers concentrate on winners. Yeah. And it's that mindset. You have to just know, I'm not doing it like that. If you said the slots they have are not effective enough. They had the last main event on BBC Two, but the next one isn't on BBC. The next one isn't on BBC Two at all. With Will, isn't it? If he wears the next one, see what I mean? I'm not paying attention to detail again. Not that I don't do that. Where is it then if it's not on BBC Two? Videos and views. Hey, back to you as well. I know what you meant, Iffy. The one thing I don't like is the I don't do the grammar stuff. I know what you're saying. David Attenborough for the promos. You say that, and done for, you might be joking, but it's a voice, isn't it? It's a voice. It's a recognizable voice that when you hear David Attenborough, you think, what's he saying then? Because his voice is honed into your system as one of the vintage voices of television, talking about stuff. It's a voice that you listen to, that you can relate to. So if that was a joke, I am actually taking that serious. Fantastic comment, NA5EEF. I don't know if Bacoli's still with Ben. I know that Billy Nelson's ringing Ben Shalom's neck online every day. I don't know what's going on there. You have to ask, because obviously Billy Nelson's got Richard Riatport and Martin Bacoli for boxer, hasn't he? He's got those two fighters. I think he's got Cyrus Patterson, who I don't know where he is, if he's still with Matchroom or whatever. But yeah, who knows? I don't know. Good questions to ask. And like I apologize earlier for you. I should have went in there and said, who are your fighters? But I didn't, because there was other things that I wanted to discuss. Ra was saying there's plenty of fighters who aren't contracted, including domestic champions. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Put the names in the chat. It should be scouting the small hall scene for talent, but he's got delusions of grandeur now. I think he should go to the smaller hall shows. And like I said, I'm looking at the guys that he's got on his card on December the 20th. And I'm thinking, which one of these is he going to maybe try and focus on, try and build, get the audience behind the fighters? I always say to a fighter, if you're struggling to get an audience, like, do you like football? Do you like other sports? Tap into the other sports to have that crossover. So we get to know you a little bit better. Something that I've always said, BBC, they're known for sports. There's so many things that the fighters could tap into and have that cross promo on there. I don't know if he's saying to Emma, I'm sure he was more focused on getting a new broadcaster, but couldn't quick enough. Now, he said to me, I think he said in our conversation from earlier on this year, I think he said something about January, etc. He said he knew something was going against him at Sky. He admitted that. He said he felt like something was going on, and he knew then he had to get ready to basically jump ship himself. So I'm not saying that he hasn't had, the struggles and trying to think, what broadcaster can I get now, and going from Sky to landing the BBC. That's, I'm not saying that's something that's easy to do. So, you know, fair play to him for that. I'm not gonna kick a man when he's down, but what I won't do is like say, well, why are they all leaving? You know, that's something that us as fans want to know. What was the Dubois to MVP about? Yep, that's it, Brian. Caroline Dubois. Caroline Dubois. I put Dubois in there because it's going to get attention, isn't it? Caroline Dubois, female fighter, has left boxer to go to Jake Paul's MVP promotions, and she's fighting. She's having her MVP debut on Netflix, and I'm a huge Netflix fan. You guys that know me know I love Netflix. On the Anthony Joshua, December the 19th, undercard in Miami. So that's what it's all about, Brian. Hope that clears that up. Netflix, Brian, Netflix. It's on BBC Three or iPlayer, not on primetime TV. That's interesting that you've said that. I should have a look at the flyer because I've seen the flyer. So it says BBC Three. Wait there. I don't like silences on air. Right, hold on a minute. Let me have a look. So let me pop into Boxer. 6 new posts. Doesn't say anything about broadcasting. Hold on. Saturday the 20th of December, first Direct Bank Arena Leeds. It's got its sponsors, TXR, Betfred, Riyadh Season, that prize guy, Champion. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about broadcasting. Iffy, can you just pop your source in the chat? I don't know where that info's come from. So I'll have a look. I'll have a look into that. To be fair, I can't see where it said it's broadcast, but I've just quickly scouted their Instagram page. Right, Dodge, good afternoon. Facts, his obsession with Hearn is ridiculous. His time at Sky was pathetic apart from Brooke Khan. What else was there? Just a trail of failed bids and cancelled fights. Just do your job, Ben. Dodge, that's a bit harsh. I enjoyed the fights. I went to quite a few of their fights and I really did enjoy myself. Eddie Hearn has got the, when you look at the key, you can say the key British promoters, Eddie Hearn is a global key promoter. I'd say he's doing the most, doing the majority more than anybody else. They've had a few good years to build up the stable and to get the fighters and to market the fighters, to sell the fighters, to do all of that. So Cardi B. Emma said, I would have thought they would have published the Clark TKV numbers. Yeah, that's a good point, actually, on BBC, because then that would have been something to boast about, to say, look at the numbers, etc. I'm sure I've heard them talk about it, but I think he was waiting to get some figures back. I'm sure I've heard that somewhere. Brian goes on to say, Boxer on the BBC's doomed for failure. Gosh, I don't know. Give it a little bit of time. I'm always one of these that says, let's see how it goes. You've got to have the fighters that are marketable, that can build the brand with you. Or if they're not necessarily those kind of marketable people, then you've got to be the person that can market them and that can sell them. Anthony Joshua, the other day, he did like a interview with MVP, and to be fair, I skimmed over it, but I listened to some of it. And one of the things that he said, and I posted it on my IG page because it was actually in a long time one of the first things that Anthony Joshua said that I thought, I like that. And this is just a summary of his quote, by the way. The best thing I've heard AJ say in a while, and this is me on IG, by October Red, if you want to go over to that. I always knew there would be the most talented fighter out there, but if they can't sell tickets, they'll never showcase their skills to the world, no matter how good they are. They have to have marketability and ability. Those two together are a recipe for success. Yeah. So you've really got to have that about you. And I agree with that. That's one of the best things that he's ever said. And he understands his market value, hence him being loaned out by DAZN and going over to fight on Netflix, which I'm convinced they're going to come into boxing and they're going to stay in boxing. I'm convinced. People keep on saying, no. I'm convinced. Let's have a look. If he goes on to say, I think most boxer fighters are on one fight deals, definitely not long term. And I'd say potentially, if you're a sports lawyer and you've got a fighter and you understand how turbulent it can be and what can happen, potentially I think the safest thing for those fighters is to potentially be on a fight by fight deal, especially as there's no real clarity on what is exactly happening. Everyone has said that it's going to be 4 fights a year, and that's not clarified. So if it's not clarified in public, is it clarified in private? If I was a sports lawyer, I would advise my fighters to potentially sign a fight by fight basis to make sure you're compensated, to make sure that you don't expect too much from your promoter and they don't expect too much from you. I'd need that for my fighter to feel safe. Skyliner, good to see you. Thank goodness Caroline's career can be saved. If there's anyone that's going to make me smile or make me laugh in these comments, it's you man are done for, Skyliner the editor, and the other crazy one, Star Fox, which I'm going to guess is probably going to make an appearance, and my old friend, Mr. A, even though I can't see him that much. So you man was saying, I'm being serious. Shalom needs to take advantage of what the BBC does, put his fighters onto Bake Off, let the public get to know them. Spot on. Imagine having all of these assets at your fingertips and you're not using them. Because we have had fighters go on the Bake Offs before. So that's spot on, done for, spot on. Hermit 3, nice to see you. I don't think I've seen you before. Boxers December card is on BBC 3 and iPlayer. Thank you very much for clarifying that. I do appreciate that. Foxy said it's always going to be difficult for whoever came in after Eddie Hearn on Sky. Yeah, common sense. I like that, Foxy. Only the best survive in this game, in my opinion. Too much too soon for Shalom. He needs to build boxer. I'm inclined to agree with that comment. Really solid comment there, Foxy. Those are just excuses. That might have been something I've said and I've missed over it. Most fighters, and this is from Ra, are losing money in this sport, including domestic champions. I'm sure all the area level champions would love to be on the BBC. Can't argue with that, Ra. WMP, I'm just going to say one. Please don't be offended. Also, Azim, and nice to see you as well. I've seen you in my comments recently, so thank you to you. Also, Azim, on the 31st, will be on BBC 2 again. Well, that's good. Emma's goes on to say, Ben was going after Hearn because he got Whittaker. Will he go after Jake Paul now? Not unless he wants to get trolled to death. And you know why, Emma? Years ago, when Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano fought their first fight, they had a UK tour, and I was privileged to be invited to that press conference. I got to interview Jake Paul and I got to interview Amanda Serrano, and that's why I rate Jake Paul's hustle, because I asked him why he was doing this. Anyway, that interview somewhere way back in my files. Nikisa said, oh, there's this new promoter. This is the same time Boxers Just Fresh. There's this new promoter, Ben Shalom. Well, the youngest promoter and who's going to be a great promoter is Jake Paul, not Ben Shalom. So I remember that like years back. So I don't know if he's going to go after Jake Paul. I am sure, Emma, and they keep on doing this, Emma. I'll tell you guys, because you guys are the subscribers. Put my teeth back in. Can you tell I've had like 5 coffees? Anyway, you guys are the subscribers. So sometimes these guys will have like their like random media days, and unfortunately I don't get invited, so I don't get to ask. Or the times when I see them are at press conferences. Sometimes I have media days, and you know they'll invite you out and you have a meal and you get to like do the one-to-one interview. Unfortunately, I'm not on the list. So we'll see if he goes after Jake Paul. Right, if he goes on to say the best thing he could have done is work with MVP from the UK for female fighters like an MVP UK that also fight in America. But Jake Paul has a monopoly in women's boxing. He does, because he saw the niche. He's seen that people over here since 2 or so years ago aren't really interested that much in female boxing. I'll let you do the maths. So, but what I don't think that Jake Paul would have done, and this is me being honest, Iffy, is work with anybody else. He runs his own ship. He's the captain of his own ship, so to speak. So I don't think he would have done that. The concept is nice, but I don't think it would have worked. Skyliner goes on to say, it's simple game for broadcasters. You hit your numbers and deliver on your targets set from the beginning. You get new contracts. There's no surprises if you don't. But Ben is just playing the victim. Womp goes on to say, to the question for who's signing for Boxer, Kadoa said on TalkSport that he's with Boxer now. Okay, and that's a puncher. He did all right in his last fight, didn't he, Kadoa? Who is trained by Tunde Ajayi, who still got me blocked, by the way. Still got me blocked. I did check the other day after I did that conversation with Fraser Clark and Tunde came into the interview. I thought, oh, let me check and see if he's unblocked me. No, still blocked. But yeah, Kadua is his fight. A lovely guy as well. I saw him at the press conference, the weigh-in, and he was a very pleasant young man. So all the best to him on his journey. GRD Garders 5587. You told him straight in that last interview, car crash. You said it to his face, and I think he respected that. I'm not very good at being two-faced. Because if I think something, and thank you very much for that comment, I do appreciate it. It's easy for us, all of us, it's easy for me to go on my own channel and start saying, like running people down, saying all of this stuff or whatever. And it's easy for you guys, you know, that have got the accounts with no face, nothing comes back to you, and you can sit there and you can say all these things. But what I'd rather do, I'm a fan. I've always been a fan of the sport. You know, I tried my luck and I got through the door. I'm not a journalist. However, I enjoy speaking to people. I really do. Insanely enjoy speaking to people and getting to know them. So me saying that to Ben Shalom was just me asking what I would have said if I was sat at home on my settee thinking, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Because when I was watching that on TalkSport, I was like this. I was like, please stop. Please stop speaking. Stop it. Stop it. But yeah, crazy. The Clark TKV commentary was terrible. I thought it was quite humorous. Because if you've ever done a live watch along with me, I call it conversation and commentary. Sometimes we drift off. Sometimes we are actually doing commentary. Sometimes we'll have a bit of a laugh. And I found that quite interesting. And because I was listening to it, not necessarily watching it, because I was at the Matchroom fight. So I'm trying to look at both of them. Aaron Bowen was in the ring at the time. It made good listening. If he said, yeah, they'll post the numbers, it should be really at least 1 million on the BBC, on BBC Two. Well, I think they've got over 1 million subscribers on YouTube. So this is what I'm saying. You put out a docu-series on your fighters, get the right interviewers in there, the right camera crew in there, and start putting your fighters out on the BBC YouTube channel. You're going to do numbers because they've got naturally big numbers anyway. It's a no-brainer. Use the tools that you've got in your box. 5 coffees I've had. And this is why I say no to drugs. Because this is what I'm like on 5 coffees, ladies and gentlemen. Right, Whoop goes on to say, Ben Shalom said it's 7 figures, but BBC asked to publish it themselves. Okay, so fair enough. So they want to announce it. Let's wait for them. Or maybe let's put some pressure on them. Let's tweet them. Let's say, hey, can we have some numbers? Because we like that, aren't we? We're a bit nosy. We want to know how you're doing compared to such and such. But even if they do the numbers, what are you guys for? And put that in the comments, or in the comments. Are you guys for big numbers or quality? Because I'm all about quality. I'm not about size. I'm about what you can do with it. Anyway, Skyliner goes on to say he is obsessed with Hearns. He needs to focus on his stable and how he can deliver good shows, not fight with big boys. It's a hindrance to his progression. Spend that energy elsewhere. I'm with you, Skyliner. I knew there was a reason why he was a subscriber, because we actually think the same some of the time. Mr. DLS 08. Oh, Birmingham in the chat. I always get emotional when Birmingham is in chat. We've got to do more for each other. We've got to stick together, Brummies, and salute back to you. Number 11 crew. That's, yeah, I did catch the number 11. Number 11 through Handsworth. Here we go. Bruce Gas Boxing Jazz and More 1969. I bet that was a good year. And salute back to you as well. If he says, and when fighters are signed on that basis, they don't invest much in them. And this is Shalom's problem. After Whitaker, he's not going to trust anyone long term. I get it. And when you get your fingers burnt, that's what happens. Or you have to be strategic. If you're strategic, like I said, if you concentrate on becoming better or becoming the best, you have like outside influences, people that are doing better than you, and you look at them and you think that's a great model, I'm going to take that. But if it's filled with, and I'm not saying this is the case, but if you fill yourself with bitterness and it's envy, you're just going to you're going to come unstuck. If I don't like someone, I don't speak to them, don't look at them, I don't have anything to do with them. If I don't like someone and they're like they're in a better position than me, I'm like, great stuff for you. But I don't focus and I don't deal with envy, jealousy, wasted emotions, wasted. Like Skyliner says, put your energy elsewhere. And I agree with that. Why has Shalom not even been on one show to promote his fights? And it's one of the highest rated shows in this country. I said that. If you've got the tools, use them. If he said, Shalom has said that he will speak more about the Whitaker situation. I saw before there was a Boxer employee that deleted emails. And I think the Judas Shalom. Yeah. And that was Wishhausen. And I know that there's a case going on there because in the alternative corner, that was one of the cases that I was focusing on. However, the interim injunction was granted, but now that case has become private. So I can't get to access, which you can access court, it's public information. It's gone dark now. So I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know if there's been a settlement or whatever. I don't want to get done for defamation, but they've pulled it back so it's private. So there's no updates on the case because obviously on the alternative corner, that was one of them that I was following. And Wishhausen's a lovely guy. I met him loads of time. Lovely man. Lovely man. Azim is the one to build your shows around with strong undercards where possible. And Callum Simpson. I think Callum's got it as well. He's got Lee. He's got his Barnsley football team, all that. He's got all that on lock. So use it. Use that. Use the hell out of it. Look at things as you're on a chessboard, so you have to be strategic. Anyway. None of the promotional outfits are making use of small independent media. They just get the same old channels in. Good point. Good point. Good point. Kadua probably isn't on a long-term deal like most fighters. Like you said, it's potentially fight by fight. Tunde hurt Mr. DLS 08. Tunde hurt him. What did you do to the lion in the camp? I said Joshua Boatsi was a better fighter. If he said Tunde is sensitive as hell, he should really be wanting to do with the interview with you instead of ducking. I think that would be a great conversation. I think it would be very combative, but I don't mind that. I'd love his honesty. I'd love him to say, you're a cheeky cow. And I'll say, yeah, I accept that. I understand that. But I'm not a yes person. And I just want answers. What's wrong with that? So, yeah, I think it'd be a good, and I'm open to that. I did say to that, the microphone is here waiting for you when you're ready to spit your lyrics. I have said that to him, but I'm still blocked today. Anyway, Philip Answer, good evening to you. You're better than the so-called journalist, Red. Oh, thank you very much, Ra. If Azim, and this is Skyliner, if Azim is not a big draw, then build him to be a big draw. That's the promoter's job. And spot on. And it was like when Ben was saying to me, oh, I'm not one of these that just wakes up in the morning and wants to get on camera. You need to be. You need to be. Because that's your job. You're a promoter. Hey, Mr. Sharp. Good morning, Abs. Delightful to see your glow. It's the camera. And they've dropped it down to 720, whatever. I know it was on 180p and 4K the other day, but whatever. Right, here we go. Tunde clearly, and this is from Iffy Sid, Tunde clearly didn't want to deal with Simon Jordan on TalkSport. He chose the safest option. And when they asked about Yard, eventually he looked triggered. I haven't seen that. Metal Box J, I haven't seen you in a minute. Good to see you. All right, Register. Back at you. Lols, why do all that promoting when you can talk about Hearn being 50 again? You know what? If I'd known about that 50 comment, I knew about the 50 comment after I spoke to him. Because so what? I'm 48. That's like saying to me, oh, you're 48, Red. You're not supposed to be doing this. Some of the greatest interviewers were old. Promotional. You've got Bob Arum that's just celebrated his 94th birthday. Age has nothing to do with it. And that I didn't like, because then you're almost doing the same thing that you're accusing Eddie of doing. And when you do that, then it starts to look like you're being a little bit jealous. It does look like that. So Eddie's 40. I think he's 46. He's younger than me. I think he's 46. And then there was all, you worked for your dad comments and you went away and you did something else and you come back because you flopped and whatever. So what is he supposed to do then? What is he supposed to do? Sniff his dad's business up his nose and ruin his dad's legacy, or run with it and modernize it and make it better? That's an entrepreneur. I can't sit here and say that what Eddie's done is wrong. It doesn't make any sense. He's took something and he's run with it. Yes, he had that step up. Some of us have that step up. Look at all of the interviewers that have started off on different channels. They're paid to go to the press conferences. They're paid for hotels. They get expenses, and then they get picked up by DAZN because DAZN like them. What am I going to sit here and say, oh, well, it's all right for them because I had to make it out the mud and pay for everything. Get over it. You either survive or you don't. The cream, if you are quality in anything that you do, and this is to all you young ones out there, if you are quality in anything that you do, you will always push through. Yeah? And bullshit will always fade off the other end. So don't worry about it. Just concentrate on what you're doing. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Weird. Dan, TM for years, YS. Massive big up to October Red. Always loved your content. You are the best in the game at the moment. Thank you. And I love that at the moment. That keeps me on my toes, Dan. But you know what? I'm not even trying to be the best. I'm just myself. And I'm consistent. I probably swear less. I probably swore a lot more when I first started. But I'm consistent. And I love what I do. And I love speaking to people. And I don't care if I get 1 view or 1 million views. I'm happy with what I'm doing. And that's all that counts to me. So thank you very much. You man, I done for says 100%. And Emma saying, this is why I have no sympathy for Ben. He's made his own bed. It's in his hands, not any other promoter. Yes, I do agree with that. Brian goes on to say, Ben has lost Fraser Clark now with his showing versus TKV. It's going to be an uphill battle promoting Clark now. And Fraser is almost 35. True words. It'd be interesting to see what Fraser says. You know me, I'll say what I think. I think going for the British champion, British belt 3 times and not coming through, you have to sit down and have that conversation with yourself. Where am I? What am I doing? What am I hoping to achieve? You know, the Lord loves a try, though. Sometimes you can just keep on knocking at the door till eventually you get through. But this is boxing, and they have boxing years, and you age. Boxing really can age people. So can he keep going? What's he going to do? He's got other talents as well. He's great on punditry. So many options. But if he turns around and says, I want to continue fighting, yeah, so what? Good for you. You're the fighter. Will I watch him fight again? Yes. What time is Fight Talk Live? 8 p.m. Shalom needs to, and this is from Iffy, Shalom needs to become Al Heyman and have a new face for Boxer. Her shares in Boxer that deals with the media. He said he doesn't like it, but it's got to be done. I agree with that. If you're not going to do it, you got to employ somebody that can. Joshua Griffin 3261. This is a banging little chat. Go on, Brom. Oh, The Birmingham love. You know what, as well, I will say to you, Brummies, you are we are, as a Brummie, probably the most hardest people to please, and we're such arseholes as well. But we say it how it is. So shout out to all the Brummies. But what I would like you to do, and what I really think we should do as Brummies, is we need to support each other more. I keep saying it, banging on about it. So yeah, support the team. Right, here we go. Brian 9778. He lost Eubank Jr. Ooh. Whitaker. Bacoli is no longer recorded as the boogeyman of the heavyweight division. Benny's the reason why Sky won't touch boxing, and us mugs have to spend 40 odd quid a month. Yeah, you know what? I went to Now TV. It's cheaper. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, on the zone. Yeah, it does cut out and that. But I'm a little bit of a demon because I'm like an advocate for Netflix. Sorry. Ra was saying if Shalom wants to be like Heyman more, then he should be getting all of us media in and getting the fighters to talk. Yeah, he should. The door should be open for all of us. I totally agree with that. The thing is with Eddie is what he did is he opened up the door for every media. So every time you open up YouTube and you look for boxing, Eddie Hearn's appearing on, I don't know, 20, 30 different channels. And you're seeing him all the time, whether you want to or not. It's a strategy and it works. Like you said, hiding away or not doing that many interviews or censoring interviews or whatever doesn't get that authenticity out. And then people are not going to want to listen to you. It's one of them, innit? You got to play the game. Metalbox says, Hearn was complimentary of your interview style last week on IFL. Yeah, I got sent it and I reposted it on my socials just to say thank you to Eddie. He is a very respectful man. Bear with me, guys. I've just got to open my front door. Bear with. And just like that, she's back. Right, here we go. Apologies for that. Yeah, so I saw what Eddie said, and I'm very grateful for that because he didn't have to do that, but he's done it before. He's done it. He said it before, so fair play to Eddie Hearn. If you see it said, yeah, Shalom doesn't understand the importance of narrative control and staying in the media. Hearn has mastered this, and Warren eventually caught on. And I really do like speaking to Frank Warren. He's quite a charming man. And he has also said to me, he goes, keep up the good work, make sure you keep going. So it's like, okay, so I'm hearing this from the big dogs in the sport. All right, then I'll listen to them. So age is just a number. It certainly is. Alex, how you doing? Another Brummie, I think. You don't look a day older than take the filters off, yeah? Or in fact, go onto Instagram and see me running in the morning. I look about 78. By the way, if we see you at a shop, you can always come and say hello. Don't get me wrong. And this is where people probably think I'm a bit standoffish. I have got this natural screw face, but I'm just in the zone. So if I do look like I'm unapproachable, if you just say a YouTube name, I remember the YouTube names. So come and say hello, say the YouTube names. I'm weird about taking pictures because somebody told me what people are doing with pictures. So I'm a bit iffy about the picture thing, but I'll always say hello. Always, always, always. A couple of people have come up to me and said, blah. So yeah. If he goes on to say Clark Moore lost Shalom, if Shalom doesn't reinvest in him, then fair enough. Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? What is he going to do? These are conversations that he's going to be having, but I'm not going to write a fighter off. Iron Warrior, first time joining you live. Love all your content. Thank you. I see your comments quite a bit, so welcome to you. We do this. We like to do these lives. What do you think of Johnny Fisher? J Woods 8437. I felt sorry for him on Saturday. I didn't like to see the fight. I've met Johnny Fisher. I've spoke to him several times. His family, they're all very polite, respectful people. And this is sometimes where I think the human side of me just gets in the way of the facts. But I'm not sure that he'll get to like British level. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, because like most of you, I've not laced the gloves up and had a pro fight. I haven't done it. So, but he's a lovely guy. He's just gone to Tony Sims. He's still young. So I'm not going to write him off just yet, but I'm saying English level is where I see his ceiling, and I want him to prove me wrong. I want him to prove me wrong. Yorkshire, Brum, Northerners. They should bring back Savage Dan for Ben Shalom. He has been there, but he's not been forefront, and he is more of a character. I agree with that, Philip. Agree with that. I see the funniest British heavyweight title fight stylistically in 2027 with Fisher and Clark. Damn, 2027. You think? You know what? Fair play to that's a positive one, Iffy. Yeah, the Now TV thing. Oh, another Foxy says, as a Brummie, haven't really said it before, but proud to see you doing well. The interviews are the best in the business. Keep it going. This Birmingham love is making me feel very, very happy. Mr. DLS says, Shalom needs to go back to the small room at the O2. There's nothing wrong with taking a step back. Do you know what I mean? How many people have got into relationships, got married, ended up divorced, bought a house, ended up splitting up with their partner and having to go back to their mums? These are things that happen. And like I said, I say the same thing all the time, like a scratch record. Boxing is like, it's just life. You can literally attribute the majority of it, the business side, so much to it, to life experiences, you know? Let's have a look. I like this comment. I'm going to put that on the wall. October, do you think Ben Whittaker should fight Shaq and Pitt as a step up? Would be a good local scrap. I think he should fight Shaq and Pitters because I know that they've sparred before. I think he should be fighting all of the domestic guys because we have such a beautiful, I'd like to say, pot of light heavyweights in the UK. So I'd like to see all of those fights. You have to remember, like I said, Ben Whittaker was calling out Dan Aziz pre his debut. And now he's, calmed down a bit, but whatever. It's Shalom, right? Metalbot says it's Shalom at the door with a baseball bat. Yeah. You know what? What happened the other day? Something happened the other day, and like the mischievousness in me said, it's probably Shalom getting his own back, because I think we were commenting, because I think with the press conference the sound kept on going and it was so frustrating. But then DAZN had a stream with the Monte Carlo show, and when it was, I can't remember which fight it was now, McCormack, when he was supposed to be speaking, the sound went off, and I wanted to put in the comments, Shalom's plugged the sound out, but I thought, no, don't be a twat. But I just said it on here anyway. Jimmy Gino, I have not seen you in 7,000 years. Good afternoon to you. Just saw you on a live and joined to smash the like button and say salute. You're going to see me twice today because I'll be going live with Base the Kid and Danny at 8 p.m. But I just wanted to get this one in because sometimes I feel like, and this is me being selfish, but I'm being honest with you guys. I like the alone time that we have together. I do, where it's just you and I. So sometimes I can get a bit selfish. So I thought I'd sneak this one in because I really do appreciate you guys. And I love the interaction with the comments. I'm all about that. If I was ever in the position, if, say, for some magical coincidence, Netflix says, October Red, we like what you're doing. We're going to be expanding the boxing. We're going to be doing some stuff in the UK. You know what I'd do? I'd do a live interactive session where I could be on TV, I could be presenting, interviewing, whatever, and I've got all of you like asking questions. And I'm saying, yeah, we've got a comment coming in from. That's how I do it. I'd love that. Love it. But anyway, let's see who takes my idea and runs with it and gets paid, and I don't. Such is life. I thought Savage Dan was going to be the new media-facing person for Boxer, as at some point he was answering questions much better than Shalom and on behalf of Boxer. I thought the same, but I don't know what's happened. I really don't know what's happened. Beautiful Golden Dragon. Oh, that username's different. October, you're a legend. How come you're not on TalkSport? TalkSport more. I've never been on TalkSport. They don't want me on there. My face don't fit. Your face has to fit. My face don't fit. I'm too chaotic. So I'll build what I'm building here with you guys. I'm happy here. Trust me. Oh, no, Warren was on TalkSport. No, I didn't, Philip. But guess what? I'll be watching after I come off here because he's quite a funny guy. Tio versus Shakur elite matchup, elite matchup, however you want to say it. Yes, but you know I'm a true advocate for British fighters. You do know that. You do know that. So it doesn't excite me as much, even though the Canelo Crawford did. To be fair, Ra says the British level at heavyweight is very high. Most British champions will go on to be world rank. Misfits might be best for Fisher. Ra, that's like probably the 20th time I've heard somebody say that. And while we're there, let me pause on Misfits. There's me, so I'm going to do half an hour. I've been here for an hour. Anyway, Vidal Riley has gone to Misfits. Remember, he's got the purse bid with Alloys tomorrow, you know. Wednesday, there's the purse bid for Vidal Riley versus Alloys Jr. Okay? So Misfits Pro, years ago, when I spoke to Mams Taylor, when it was just Misfits and it was just the YouTubers, and don't get me wrong, it was great fun. It was chaos, but it was brilliant. I enjoyed myself there. I don't know why I stopped going, actually. Probably just got too expensive going to every single event. Probably that. Anyway, Mams Taylor at the time said, we're going to do a pro section and we're going to start to have pro fighters. And this was probably about 2 or 3 years ago. He was banging on about it and he said, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. On interviews way back in my playlist. Have a look, it's there. So Vidal Riley has not gone over as, you know, the stereotypical Misfits fighter. He's gone over there as the British cruiserweight champion. The purse bid for Alloys is tomorrow. Okay, that could potentially happen on Misfits, which I think they're with DAZN, aren't they? But it is a separate arm. They've got Misfits and then they've got Misfits Pro. I think it's a good move for Vidal. I know they've got a hell of a lot of money, and I believe that potentially it can pull other fighters. And this is where you get belts, because the belts are important. You pull fighters to potentially fight on well, it could be the same platform because I think it's DAZN, but also like on that cross promo thing. So I think that can actually work. So I thought Vidal was going to go to Queensbury. I did, because he's like a throwback fighter. I think he sort of matches that kind of business ethos. I can look at fighters and say, you go there, you go there, you go there, based on who you are, what you like, etc. But I'm not surprised that he's gone to Misfits, aka Wasserman. I can see Wasserman boxing potentially merging into Misfits Pro. Wasserman not boxing, not necessarily being Wasserman anymore, and it just becomes Misfits Pro. I can potentially see that happening, but I don't know, so don't sue me. Hypothetically speaking. Right, Brian goes on to say Johnny Fisher and his dad are kidding themselves. He'll get badly hurt in the next time he fades, or somebody that can, or fades when he fights somebody that can fight back. At the moment, he's being fed lesser opponents, and even then, one of them, you know, yeah, you can get knocked out in it. Because round one, I was proper panicking. Over in the first last Saturday. If he goes on to say Shalom is also talking about pay-per-view way too soon. Who's a pay-per-view fighter on his roster? You cannot force that. And you need to become more likable and trusted when you are selling pay-per-view. This is where you need to build the fighters to become pay-per-view fighters. I did believe that Caroline Dubois would have been one of them, but it was quite easy to let her go. Man of Dunford says, I like Birmingham, but it's just that nonsense clean air charge. Yeah, they need to use electric planes instead of charging us. Yeah, you just got, as long as your car's like above a 2015 or 16 plate, you're all right with it. But anything below that, yeah, you have the clean air charge. But London, you get congestion charge for breathing, don't you? Anyway, if anything, Brian goes on to say, Johnny Fisher is getting worse, not better. The problem is he's taken out a huge mortgage listening to Eddie Hearn's hype about him. So he has to fight, even though he's nowhere near domestic level. That Walker upset was sweet. Him and Afori are heartless. Yeah, that was a brilliant fight. Conor Walker, demon. Will Beats be on the live later? Good point. I will put it out to him. I did say it's open for him to come in. Absolutely no problem. Beats is a great guy. Here we go. Skyliner, I didn't see this comment. I can see Misfits professional side dominating British level area fights, increasing the competition. Here we go, Skyliner. Feels like you're almost under my table feeding this information to me, because I actually just said that. It's a date. Does that mean tonight, 8 o'clock? Talksport is, yeah. I don't care. I'm not bothered. I asked for the opportunity. I did. I said, just give me 15 minutes. 15 minutes. And if I get like booed, well, I'll never come back again. Yeah. Right. So if you're saying something happened to Dan and Ben, they were together a lot before, they seemed distant, and now he seems not to do well with keeping relationships, maybe the neurodiverse aspect that he's admitted to with you. Could be. He's random, isn't he? Just very random. Really? Okay, because I do like the politics as well. Philip saying, I'll be interested to hear what Frank Warren had to say about tax pay in the UK. Fair play. Foxy goes on to say, I heard Frank on TalkSport today talking about Nick Ball versus Brandon Figueroa early next year. Yeah. Jay Sharp goes on to say, I feel rewarded cancelling ESPN Plus, Dana White, etc. Vomit face. And are you going to, Hermit says, are you going to commentate on another Frank Warren show? Yeah, that was the Box Academy events. They've got Box Academy, and I don't know what's happening with that at the moment. Then they've got the Box Nation, and then it's obviously Frank Warren, isn't it? It's Queensbury, the lowest of the low. However, they gave me an opportunity. So shout out to Sonny Warren and Alfie Warren that gave me that gig. I approached Sonny Warren. I said, Sonny, can I come to your show? Because I want to speak to some of your fighters. He was like, yeah, Sonny's Frank's nephew. Yeah. And then I said, yeah, fine. I said, you know, I can do commentary, don't you? And he goes, can you? I goes, yeah. Because I says, I'll commentate just on a couple of the fights, if you don't mind. Yeah, no problem. I get there. Yeah. One of the commentators didn't turn up. So they're like, you're it. You go over there. There's the fight. This is it, blah, blah, blah. And I commentated on the whole show. And then obviously they brought me back again. So that was great. I'll name this account later. I'm doing well, and I hope you are well also. If you're saying Riley and others that join Misfits Pro are about to legitimize, yeah, they are. I do believe that. Raz saying, I spoke to Aloys at the Southern Area Award, says that of course he is. So he's targeting Gulamarian next. So no Vidal Riley then. Okay. So he said, we don't think we'll see Vidal. Vidal's a bad star for everyone, because he's a very good boxer. Foxy says it didn't seem like Eddie Hearn was too interested in signing Vidal. I think he likes to concentrate on one or two potential stars at a time. He's got Ben Whittaker now. Conor Ben's on, he's going up in the world as well. So it's like he's almost got those two. AJ's got going off the other end, still majorly important. But when you think about future investment, he's going to be coming out of the game soon. So he's got to concentrate. And I think the favoritism can cause issues. Cruiserweight is a division that's there, but not really there. It's never really been there, has it? And when it was there, seems like the British fighters were the ones that were holding it up, except for like you likes of like Badu Jack. So I think Matchroom are not interested in having the best for Riley. It looked more like an interest to Spike Shalom. Maybe. One man's trash is another man's treasure. GBM Sports, the heist was a good show, solid foundation for building an audience, and that comes from Skyliner. Mr. DLS 08 says, Fisher is a sad case waiting to happen. His family should tell him to pack it in, but they need the gravy train to keep rolling in. It's one of them, isn't it? Fisher mentioning his mortgage every interview is a red flag. See, I haven't listened, and this is a problem. Sometimes I don't listen. Yeah, that's scary. That's scary when you start to like outwardly project that, because then it's a problem. What do I think of Huey Fury? Do you think he has a chance to get back in the top again? And that is beautiful beautiful golden dragon. Where was I going with garden? I think so. I think he started off his career fantastically well, was put in there with some real good opponents. And then obviously when he got sick and had time out, it's just constant catch up for him. I've been around him. I've seen him sparring in the gym. I haven't been to any of his fights, but I know his capabilities, and he's a solid boxer. The Furies do have a style. Obviously, that comes from Peter. It's just a game of catch up, activity, and catch up. But GBM are doing what they can with him, because remember, he was initially with Boxer also, and they did change Fisher's opponent midweek. The original one was going to stop him. I had money on that. Oh, Iffy and his bets again. Would I ever do a Misfits fight? If I was 10 years younger, 100%. I can't be going into the ring nearly 50 years old. Yeah, I just don't think it will work. Don't think it will work. Too old, I think, now. Do you know what I mean? And like, I get on with some fighters, and obviously I was training boxing and we're supposed to be getting sparring out, and a couple of them said to me, make sure that you don't, just do body sparring. And this is like professional boxers saying to me, don't get hit in the head. Do you know what I mean? I thought, yeah, maybe not. Jay Woods is saying that the problem is Fisher is too chinny. If he's saying Alloy's last performance was bad and he knows he's not ready for Riley. And what has happened to Huey Fury. Yeah, it's the catch-up game, isn't it? Yeah, I don't think he should pack it in either, to be fair. Alex is saying Fisher shouldn't pack it in. GBM have a good setup. The lead promoter plays the game better and is internet ready for the media. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this all started off with Caroline Dubois moving to most valuable promotions. This was an impromptu live. I've absolutely enjoyed it. I thought I was going to be sat here by myself, but I think about 60 of you joined in. Great stuff. I'm going to let you know what I'm doing. Hopefully, I'll start to do, like I said, 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m., like live, say something, news drops or whatever in the morning, or we'll just have a chat about boxing. I'm going to limit it to 30 minutes, just like a radio segment. That's what I'm trying to do with the channel. So it's like, yeah, Red's going to be live. I'm going over there at 6 in the morning or 6:30 in the morning or whatever, catch up and have a chat and then carry on with your day. I'm going to try and start to do something like that, outside stuff permitting, but we're looking at potentially doing that. Going to start it. If it's not before, like just before Christmas, it will be in 2026. And we'll run that. And I want to switch things up, because I don't like getting stagnant. As you can see, I'm a little bit hyperactive and I get a little bit bored if I'm just sitting there. Bit of a crazy person I am, but it is what it is. So firstly, thank you very much for everyone that tuned in this afternoon. I'll be live again 8 o'clock tonight. I might not have so much energy because it's going towards my bedtime. And like I said, I'm old. So certain times I start to like drift off. So if I fall asleep on the live, I apologize. And yeah, we'll do this again. Watch along wise, I'm going to be doing the Ghana one, which is on Saturday, the 20th. But I'll also be doing, I don't think I'm going to do the Nigerian one, because I don't even think Okoli's got an opponent. And I'm not watching Adelaide box up as 40-year-old. No thanks. So what I will be doing then is potentially staying up, and we're going to do a Netflix watch along for the Joshua fight. Jake Joshua. I'm presuming that it's still going to go on. So we'll do a live watch along for that. So that's not next week, the week after, or whenever it is, or it might be next week now, I don't know. So yeah, we'll be doing that. I will be doing lives with Fight Talk Live, but I'll still be doing the majority of them solo on the channel, because it's just the way I've done it. It's the way I'm used to it. It's the way I like it. And like I said, sometimes I'm extremely selfish. I wonder if I should set my outro video. I should do that, innit? Where is it? Select that one. Select as outro. So yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say au revoir. See you later. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. It all helps. I've got past my 10K, so I'm happy with that anyway. But yeah, as we say at October Red, Stay ready. And thank you for all of your participation. See you later, 8 p.m. Ta-ra.
People say I'm toxic, and honestly, I don't care.
October Red is sponsored by SA Security. Maximum security, minimum fuss.